We can save that for another time. I don't want to bring it in. I don't want to do the work to be perfect. Okay. So
I
Erik,
just love to laugh with you.
yeah, it's wonderful. So Erik, what are we talking about today?
Gee, glad you asked, Robot Matt. Oh man. Today, boys and girls, we're going to be talking about an ad on Erik and Matt Like Ads. I know, shocking. The title's kind of a bit of a spoiler. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to talk about an ad. And today we're going to talk about an ad that I got to pick. Because you know why I got to pick it? Because it was my turn to pick it, because you and I take turns every other week picking the ad. And so this is an ad that is not a new ad. And I would say, though, is a pretty memorable ad. And if you saw this ad once, you would remember it, right? But you might not have thought of it in a long time, right? So I thought, let's go back a little bit. And, you know, have you heard of Nike?
You mean it's not pronounced Nike?
Oh, man. You know, for like a good chunk of the 80s, I'm pretty sure that's what my dad thought.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So like they make advertisements, right? And this is one of their advertisements. Maybe that's a little bit of a spoiler, but you know what? Who cares, Matt? All right. Who cares? It's not a big secret. What do we think we're accomplishing by like not telling people like what it is? Oh, there's some sort of power over them. So this is a Nike ad. All right. This is a Nike ad from the late 90s. And it features somebody. All right. And then when we watch the ad, they'll see who it is. So I like this ad a lot. I don't know how you feel about this ad, but we'll talk about it afterwards. So, but why don't we first watch it?
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
So Matt, that's Michael Jordan.
Yes. I've heard of him.
Michael Jordan, yes. Professional basketball player, six-time. Six.
Also professional baseball player.
True. That's true, yes.
He was less remembered for that.
Yes. Right, six-time NBA champion, 2 3-peats, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like trying to remember all the stuff I learned by watching The Last Dance last year. Did you see that, The Last Dance?
No.
You should watch it.
I shouldn't say
watch
that.
it.
I watched a good portion of it. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like it's pretty great. We're not here to talk about that.
No, we're not.
But there's a lot in there. There's a lot of meat to it. Really well done piece. Anyway, I think this commercial is a really well done piece.
I agree.
For like many reasons. This was produced in 1997.
That's
the
correct.
year that I graduated from Niagara Wheatfield Senior High School.
There you go.
Yeah. I did not really follow basketball closely back then.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I made the joke, and I think maybe the joke didn't quite land with you, but I made the joke that I was for this when you suggested this, that I was going to wear my Penny Hardaway jersey.
Yeah, I did. I saw that. Yeah, I remember you had mentioned the little penny thing.
Oh, so you just okay. So you just didn't respond. It wasn't a funny joke. Okay, I get it. That's cool.
Matt, when something like that happens, always assume it is the other person that has the problem. All right. There's nothing wrong with you. Clearly, I'm struggling to manage the details of my life. All right. So Penny Hardaway, though, that little penny, that was 1995.
Yeah.
When that commercial came out. This commercial came out in 97. I was not really watching a whole lot of television in 1997. So I actually encountered this commercial probably like within the last 10 years is when I actually saw this commercial. Yes. So do you remember seeing this commercial on the television?
I do. Absolutely. 100%. Was very into basketball back then. I would have been, so I didn't start high school until 2000. So I was in like middle school. Basketball was very, very much so part of my life. And yeah, played every day, was going to basketball camps. Just loved it. Like I lived.
Did you ever have Jordans?
And breathed? No, because I had Air Pennies.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So I never had Jordans either. I had catapults. Do you remember this? This was Karl Malone. Remember Karl Malone, the mailman, Utah Jazz? Right?
Yeah.
He had his own sneaker. I had his sneaker. And in the heel, this was the deal, right? In the heel, on the sole, was like this like button thing. And the idea was like in the heel was like a little catapult. And that was somehow right? And I felt so cool having those. So I never had Jordans, but I totally remember, obviously, like in Jordans, like, oh man, if you had Jordans, dude, like your parents probably made a lot of money, or whatever, if you had Jordans, right? But yeah, like Jordan, he was like, he was like the guy. I used to make this terrible joke that when I got older, I was going to become a famous basketball player. And I wasn't like that into basketball, but I just was not a very funny kid. So I said that my sneakers were going to be called Air X. Right? I mean, come on, dude. I was making dad jokes. I was making dad jokes when I was like 12 years old. All right.
Yeah.
I always knew I was going to be I just always knew I was going to be a dad. I think that's just like, I just like knew deep down. Right. And so I was getting my practice in. But none of that really has anything to do with this commercial.
No.
But of course, like, I mean, Jordan is its own brand, own brand now. I don't think in 97 was though, right? That was still like, but obviously at the end of the commercial, like what's the only thing you see is you just see the Air Jordan like symbol, right? Jordan really, I think, defines, I think in a lot of ways, Nike, and then Nike's had some pretty big names over the years. Like you said, like Penny Hardaway and Colin Kaepernick more recently, and Tiger Woods and LeBron James. I mean, who obviously is like, these are big, huge names as well, but I feel like none like Jordan, right? None like Jordan, like his like supremacy from like as a figure, right?
Yeah.
And this is like, I think just like unmatched. Like, will it ever will it ever be matched? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously hard to say, but if I had to bet, it would be absolutely not. I mean, he took Nike as a brand because I think, like obviously Nike helped him as a brand, right? Like without, I mean, but it was as symbiotic a relationship as a celebrity and a brand could ever have, right? Like he was just, I mean, he was on his rise, early 90s when this all started. And I mean, would Nike have been what Nike is without him? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. Probably not a question we'll answer today, but that is a really good question. I think so. Like, I am not typically a huge fan of celebrity endorsements. And I think we may have talked about this before. I think, like, to me, they're a little offensive. It's a little like, what I want to do, because I think you, audience, I think you're kind of like maybe just a little slow. So like what I want to do is like, you like idolize this person and somehow have this like unnatural attachment to this celebrity. So I want to just put this celebrity in my commercial, and like, you are just going to naturally like us more because of this, right? And that really grates against me. I don't like that. I saw there's a billboard on the 33 when we're coming downtown, right? And I travel to the 33 coming into work every day, and it's for it's for an energy company, and they have the current quarterback of our beloved Buffalo Bills. This is the season, right? So everybody says, right, this is the year, right? We've been saying that for like 90 years. And like, so he's like the spokesperson. They're like the like whatever. I don't even know. The point is, I see that and I go like, really, like, am I supposed to believe that Josh Allen honestly has anything to do with like energy spends? Like, really, what do these things are entirely unrelated, all right? Yep. It's so obvious that they're paying him money to like use his likeness, right? And like, welcome to capitalism. You can do that. I don't want to pass legislation that says you can't do that. I just think it's dumb. I'm sorry, I do. I think it's dumb. But then I think of a commercial like this, and I realize they're doing something similar, but to me, it's not the same thing, right? What they're doing is they're embodying the essence of this man's character and vision and dedication and commitment, and they're aligning that, right? And to me, like, it's, and I realize someone make an argument like, Eric, no, they're doing the exact same thing. I don't think so. I think it is different.
So let me jump in here. I agree that it is different. And I think it's even more different than like you're letting it be. Only because it makes sense, right? Like let's no, and I know
no, right. You're right. Right.
Is it that simple? Right. Michael Jordan wears these sneakers, right? He plays basketball in these sneakers. Josh Allen, blah, 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 energy, who knows, right?
Saves 13% on his energy bill every month. And that's what allows him to focus on what's happening on the field.
Right. So like that does not make sense. That is just taking a shortcut and having a lazy strategy for advertising, right? Like that, like that's just lazy. That's just, hey, we want people to notice it. We've talked about that, like that sponsorship. I don't know if on this podcast,
right?
Or
yeah. No, I know we have. I know. We have, yeah.
But ultimately, you know, I have, you know, if anybody hasn't seen that, I have a client that is the competitor of the Josh Allen sponsored company. And of course, my client is concerned about like all of the attention that that Josh Allen is bringing to this other company. And I literally told him, I go, look, like, yes, I've had people like come up to me and be like, oh, did you see that Josh Allen commercial? Did you see the ad with Josh Allen in it? You know what they're not saying? The name of the company. Because they don't remember. It's a Josh Allen ad at that point.
Yeah, because that's why it's forgettable.
And
there's no value. What's the value? Like, there's nothing in it that makes my life better, makes me become more of the Nothing. It's just, it's a hack, is what it is. And I don't mean to, like, I call it dumb. Like, I don't mean to say that the people involved are dumb. Right. I don't mean to say that the company is, I realize that it sounds harsh. I don't mean that. I think it's things like that, I think, are just misguided strategies. And there are some intelligent people involved in making these decisions, but I think it's like, and again, they might feel very justified. Not frankly, like, it might be working. Who knows? Like, I don't know. Maybe like they're seeing a bump in business, and God bless them. And yeah, I can think that it's I don't know, like your word lazy or whatever way to do it, but whatever. The point is, you're trying to be effective. And if you're being effective by doing that, then I guess, who am I to get in your way? But I think that this ad, So not only does it make sense, not only is it appropriate, it's really well done. All right. So like, one, they're actually like communicating. Let's talk about it. They're communicating an actual valuable message. They're actually putting something out there that people should hear and would be wise to heed that message, right? It's a positive message that says, like, if you want, if you want to succeed, you have to be willing to fail. And even some of the people that you think are the most successful, like arguably one of the, if not the most successful athletes of all time. And this man's talking about how much he has failed along the way. That's a great lesson. I would sit my children down in front of the TV and say, listen to this man. All right. I realize it's a commercial. You listen to this man, you do what he says. All right. And I'm not saying Michael Jordan is a perfect individual or that I would hold him up as a role model for all things. But I mean, on this point, come on. Right.
Yep.
So there's that. The message is awesome. And then there's like the execution of it, like the music is great. Something's happening. I don't know what's happening. Something's happening. The lighting, the whole thing is like, it immediately draws you in. It creates a mood. And you, the slow motion, the flash of the paparazzi going down, the tenor, his tone, the cadence of his speech, right? All of it is just like perfectly orchestrated. And that's the thing is less, I actually had this pointed out to me by someone else. I believe it was Jeff Sexton. He's an amazing ad creator. And I've learned a lot by studying in some classes he's taught at the Wizard Academy in Austin, Texas. Plug for my friends there. And so look at the perspective, right? The actual perspective of the viewer, right? So it starts off and you are the camera watching Michael Jordan. And then at some point, you are actually you're the characters, the other people looking at Michael Jordan. And then you're Michael Jordan looking at them. And it switches back and forth between these three perspectives. Through the eyes of Michael Jordan, through the eyes of the people around him in that setting, and then through the eyes of us, the audience or the camera, right? And even the one, that last one was, you see the door as he's about to open it, right? And then you are again behind him as he goes in and you're there as the door closes, right? Like super sophisticated. So I think like the switching back and forth makes it really interesting.
Yeah.
Right. But also it tells a story and it like, you are multiple people. I don't know. Like it's just awesome. all in 30 seconds. Yeah, right.
That's difficult to do.
I don't know why they didn't just have Michael Jordan, like just, posing like he's going to shoot like something, or do that. And then say like, with Nike, you can score.
Or something clever.
Yeah, why didn't they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point. I'm happy that somebody brought it up for you because I hadn't noticed that. But I knew that there was something there. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, and that clears it right up. Because there's first there's the guy that he slaps up. Then there's the janitor, and you're and I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, what is the significance? Well, there wasn't a significance of that. It was just to give something going on, right? Like, I also like the fact that it is especially in 1997, when there was no social media and all of these behind the scenes type things out there. Reality TV wasn't really a thing. It was that hallway is a hallway that unless you were privy to it, you had you had never been there before.
Good point. Good
So
point. You
this
got to
was
see something.
putting you.
No, yeah, good point.
So like I thought that was really interesting, especially back then. And that's not something that I came up with now. Like I remember feeling that as a kid, like feeling like, hey, that's cool, like especially as a kid who played basketball. I was in much smaller hallways, like but hallways, right? Like going out onto the court. Like we would sit in the hallway because we didn't have like, maybe we had a locker room, but usually we didn't because we were, at like St. Greg the Great or St. Mark's or something like that, where there was no visiting locker room necessarily, so we were like getting changed in the hallway. But like we would like pretend to be that back then, like walking through, like, oh yeah, now we're going out onto the court, I think that's just interesting that they like gave you that glimpse of that. The other thing that I really enjoy about this, and this is like kind of like a recurring theme, I think, in a lot of the ads that we watch, is that the main idea, right? The kernel that starts the, that is the idea, that obviously all of this other stuff that we've just talked about adds layers of complexity, but the actual idea is simple. It's drop dead simple, right? It's this quote that is literally 44 words, right? Like they could have in 30 seconds, they could have added more words. And I think a lot of people, especially like when you're talking to, executives at Nike or maybe slightly smaller companies in our case,
slightly smaller.
They want more than one idea in that 30 seconds. Well, we can fit more words, so why wouldn't we use that? And that's because it's not as impactful. So 44 words is all he says, and that's that's incredible.
Yeah,
to me.
Great point.
The other thing is, and I don't know if they intended for this, but this is a motivational motivational poster, right? This is used by Forbes an entire decade later or more, right? This is on all kinds of blogs, sports blogs.
It is
business blogs, leadership development blogs.
Yes.
It's used everywhere. I even saw it on when I was like looking it up earlier. I don't know if it was like AA, but it was like some sober living thing. Like everybody uses this quote.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing about this, and this is a testament to like how good advertising can be, is that Michael Jordan didn't say this. Yes, he read it.
Yeah.
Jamie Barrett wrote this, right? Who's Jamie Barrett? Exactly. He's an ad man. I didn't even bother looking up.
Is this Whedon?
I think it's
Kennedy?
Whedon Kennedy. I think it is. But he also worked somewhere like I had noticed that he's changed agencies right around then. So I was like, oh no, who knows? But I assumed that it was Whedon and Kennedy, right? It might have been Chiat Day because I think he was there right before. I looked him up, right? Just to check him out. But
two rinky-dink ad agencies.
Let's tag them.
I didn't know Chiat Day did stuff for Nike.
So that's the thing. Like
I just always assumed it was Whedon Kennedy.
Okay, then. But
yes. I don't know that honestly because I'm lazy with this stuff, so I don't know that 100% to be true. I just assume because that's usually the name that goes along with these, right?
I was literally going off of his LinkedIn profile, so, and knowing like it was 97, and I think it showed that he like left in 96 and then started at 90, whatever.
Yeah,
didn't really do a whole lot of research into that. Because I think where it was isn't the point. Like where he was, it's the point. True. The point is that somebody had this idea, and then somebody wrote this quote, and then it became a Michael Jordan quote, and that's how powerful advertising can be. Right.
True. That's interesting. How about like the fact that because people's like, if you say, do you trust advertising? People say, I don't trust advertising. Bullshit. Like,
right.
You trust good advertising.
Right.
When it's done well,
Yeah.
you believe it. You do. You believe it. And this is a good example of like, you like Michael Jordan. It sounds like something he'd say. It's characteristic of who he is, right?
Yep.
You know, like, yeah, of course he said this.
Mm-hmm.
He voice acted this.
Yeah, right. That,
you know, it doesn't diminish its truth,
no, it doesn't.
by the way, right? And but you're right, and you're right. It's like, again, how advertising influences culture. Advertising, by the way, advertising based on culture then influences. So it's like what life imitates art and whatever that whole thing is, you know. So just another example of how it's true, though.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Nice, very astute, Matthew. So, in my very minimal research on this particular commercial, I did come across. There's lots of these like the top blah 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 of all time, you know, and there was like the best 474 Nike commercials.
Yeah,
and,
I saw those. Yeah,
you know, and there's some good ones in there. And I had never seen the first "Just Do It" ad.
Really? I don't think I have either. Oh, well, I may have, but
you wanted to go on
a
little, just like a little spontaneous adventure? Do you want to just quickly? We won't take long on this, but I feel like this is worth watching.
I run 17 miles every morning. People ask me how I keep my teeth from chattering in the wintertime. I leave them in my locker.
Come on, right? Like,
okay, I'm glad we did that.
So good.
That's very good.
Come on, Walt Stack, 80 years old. I run 17 miles a day. People ask me how I keep my teeth from chattering in the winter. I leave them in my locker. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely.
Right?
You know,
like,
just absolutely lovely.
On.
Yeah.
I see that. I'm like, gosh, I am still an amateur. I see an ad like that, right? I'm like, holy crap.
Well, you're just not nearly funny enough to come up with something like that.
Well, there's that. Oh. Just so good, right? Like, and that's the first ad, 1988. First ad that they used the phrase "just do it."
Lovely. Like, that was lovely. Yeah.
And so, like, think about that. Like, all that "just do it" means right now. Just do it meant nothing back then. They made it mean something, right? And that was the first ad. And it starts with this 80-year-old man running the Golden Gate Bridge, right? But it embodies everything that "just do it" means now, right?
Yeah.
17 miles a day. I leave my teeth in my, I mean, just like, I don't know. I'm in awe of that kind of stuff. Just like so well done.
I mean, and it follows that similar theme. It's simple. It's a simple idea, and it's not like muddied by, you know, executive A saying, oh, well, we want to do this. This is what we need out of this. And department B saying, well, this is what we want out of this. So let's combine these two ideas. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the design and writing by committee. Yeah. The committee approach. Somebody had this idea and they stuck to it. Right. Like, and everybody bought in. Yeah. Like, I think so, that was beautiful.
Coco Chanel, like the fashion, you know, like goddess, familiar. You know, Coco Chanel. So I don't really know a ton about her, but I read a lot of Stephen Pressfield's stuff. Stephen Pressfield's an author, pretty well-known dude. And he keeps a blog, and a lot of it is on the craft of writing. I've actually learned a ton about how to write, how to develop characters and dialogues and different things from reading,
Cool.
just following this dude's blog. Stephen Pressfield, you should definitely check him out. Writing Wednesdays is the name of his blog. And he had one this week, and it was advice. It was like advice, Coco Chanel's advice for writers or something like that. And the phrase goes, she's quoted as saying, before you leave the house, look at yourself in the mirror and take one thing off. Right? And so like Stephen Pressfield's whole thing was like, so like to writers, you know, whatever that, you know, look at it and remove something, because you probably have more there than you need, right? Absolutely. Simplify, right? And so like I see an ad like this, certainly the Jordan ad earlier, but I see this ad and I'm like, 44 words in the first ad. How many words in this ad?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
20 something maybe, I don't know, right? Like, or it just feels like nothing, comparatively speaking, you know, maybe it's the same amount, just delivered differently. But the point is, it's so simple. And I just think it's such good advice. Like, you probably don't need, and like, you know, I mentioned Wizard Academy earlier, and it's Roy H. Williams, the Wizard of Ads. That's his place in Austin. And Roy's known for a lot of things, observations that are just like money. He talks about the impact quotient, and he uses the equation F equals ma. So force equals mass times acceleration. And he translates that to ideas. And he says the impact of an idea is equal to its mass times its acceleration. So how big of an idea, how dense of an idea is it? And how quickly can you deliver that idea?
Yeah.
That's going to determine its impact, right?
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to this, right? A simple idea, a big idea, but like a dense, like it's simple, but like that's part of its density. It's just like it's there, you know? Yeah. And then boom, you deliver it quickly, and you don't have a lot of the fluff and the fanfare, you know? You don't over explain. You don't do what I like to do, over explain it, you know? What I'm doing right now. You don't do what I'm doing right now.
Well, Eric, no, I like very, very nice ad, very, very simple idea, but you're right. Like it is a big idea, but big ideas don't need to be complex. I think that's it. Right. I'm glad we did this impromptu.
Well, thanks for humoring me.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Anytime. So I think that's enough for today.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree with that.
Do you have any last minute, I don't know, 80s or 90s pop culture references you want to slide in? No, I don't. I wish I did. I wish I had something really clever, you know, to share. It's okay. You've used up all your cleverness. We get it. You know, like you'll have more next week.
Yeah, next week. I'll have to replenish for next week.
Let me just say that I think next week you're going to want to tune in. Next episode. I shouldn't say next week. We don't release these every week. Next episode you're going to want to catch, because I think it's going to be priceless.
You know what I love more than watching great ads, Matt? I love watching great ads with you.